Hello and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Just got finished watching the games conclude in the Champions Classic in Chicago. Um, Duke Blue Devils and the Kansas Jayhawks came out on top tonight. We're going to really talk about the Kentucky game more than the other one. But how do you feel about that loss tonight, Christ?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of doom and gloom fans around the Bluegrass. It's going to be tore all to pieces about it, but I think it was a good showing by the Baby Cats. I mean, they got a little sloppy at times, but really good showing.
Yeah, I thought so too. Kansas, if you ask me, just played terrible. Like, we should have lost that game.
They really did. They should have
by a
blown
big
us out.
margin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's still a lot of questions to be answered by this team, but I think there were some good showings, like you said tonight. What did you think about Clay Jones?
Really had a coming out party tonight. He gave great effort on both sides. Showed he could be really effective in the pick and pop game. And he just great effort on the boards because in the first half we got demolished on the boards, and I think he really came in and just gave a really good effort on the boards.
Yeah, he ended up getting 9 rebounds and really timely rebound. Azubuike had how much, 60 pounds on him, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
And other than that, I mean, there's really nothing he could do, and I think that's a place we're going to really be hurting this year against teams with a really thick up front.
I actually think he did a really good job on Azubuike, all things considered. Compared to Nick Richards, Nick Richards was borderline liability this game.
I was disappointed this game in Nick Richards.
He still ended up with 9 rebounds, but it was not a good showing.
Yeah. And somehow we actually came back, and I think it's tied at 39 rebounds apiece, but we got killed on the offensive boards.
Demolished.
And I don't know what the points off turnovers were, but I'm sure that between that and the offensive rebounds, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, what really stuck out to me on the turnover front was we had 7 turnovers in the first half. 5 of them were unforced. That's something you can't let happen against a team like Kansas. And then they forced another 10 in the second half, so they really locked down coming out of halftime too. But those unforced turnovers, which should be expected with a freshman team, but
yeah. So this is the question I have. Me and you both agree that we both had Kansas win this game. It's no big surprise or anything like that. Why was Bill Self not really going down to Azubuike really the whole game? Because, I mean, we had nobody that could stop him.
I really don't know. I mean, they started off kind of hot from 3 at the beginning. They jumped out to like 11 point lead or something like that. But I mean, we had no answer for Azubuike down low.
And I really don't know what was going on there. I don't know if Billy Eugene Self Jr. was tore up because the other Billy Preston, had the whole car situation that's transpiring that we don't really know the details about right now. Or
Kansas is an Adidas school too. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, so they're really getting some flack on Twitter right now. It's pretty amusing.
But I think overall, Cax just. I tell you what I really liked about them that they had that never die attitude. Every time it looked like Kansas was about to kind of break away and kind of put a nail in the coffin, they came back and locked down on defense. They made timely shots. So that we got to be pretty confident in that going forward.
Absolutely. I think at one point we had got down maybe by six points with maybe 7-8 minutes to go, and I texted you and said this is pretty much danger time.
Yeah,
like I thought that was going to be the end of it.
I thought it was too. That's a time out in the second half we started getting sloppy with the ball. You could tell some of the guys were getting a little frustrated, and they really pulled it together, and we actually had a shot to win this game at the end, which shocked me because I thought we'd lose this game by 15 points.
That in itself gives me hope for the rest of this season.
Yeah.
And just being honest, Kansas really, what did they shoot tonight from 3? They did not shoot a good percentage.
It wasn't good. I think they 28.6 ended up shooting.
28.6 from the 3.
8 for 28.
Yeah, in our preview, I mean, that was a big deal. How did we do one-on-one defense tonight, man to man?
I thought we'd done a much better job guarding ball screens. I actually took a note about that in the first half, but still, man, we were given a lot of penetration. But if you look at the box score here, we ended up with 10 blocks. And I honestly think that our length really got to Kansas, especially towards the end of the first half. They were taking bad shots. They couldn't get anything at the rim. So, I mean, we got to be pretty confident in that.
Yeah, it really did. Again, I texted you in the middle of the game, and I was thinking maybe Cal might pull out some 2-3 on them.
It would have been tough. I mean, it would have helped with the Osbuki issue, but I don't know if we wanted the chance. Mikhailuk and Vic, all those guys getting hot from three. Almost got him, Gerald Fitch.
Gerald Fitch.
Don't know where that name come from.
Gerald Fitch, one of my favorite players.
I love Gerald Fitch.
That's why I love the number 4, because he was a real good player when I was growing up, and I just
followed up by Rondo wearing 4 too.
Yeah, Rondo. We don't want to go down that road. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
So who's our next game? You know?
Troy, I think.
Troy. May God have mercy on their souls down at Troy, because we are going to be ready to play next game. I think we really figured something out into the second half.
It's actually East Tennessee State on Friday. Sorry
Okay. Well, I think we really figured something out on the boards. I don't know if he just got on the players boxing out. Did you notice anything like that?
To me, it was we were tipping. We weren't going up strong with 2 hands. We were just tipping the ball. And in the first half, we were negative 14 on the offensive glass, and we actually battled back. I think we had pretty much equal rebounds at the end of the game, but still giving up 18 offensive rebounds that's tough.
It is too much. But I think 13 of those were actually in the first half. So
15 were in the first half.
15. So I mean, big improvement going into the second half.
Huge improvement, yeah.
So I think we might have figured some things out in this game.
What players really stood out to you tonight?
Oh man. I mean, right off, we've already talked about him. Kalea Jones, Sasha gives some great minutes tonight. I think he's going to be could be a big part of this team going forward.
And obviously Kevin Knox led all players in scoring with 20, shot 8 for 13. I think he kind of stepped up and proved that he's going to be the go-to guy this year. What do you think about that?
I think so. I think he's the guy that we're going to have to go to in situations like tonight. I thought that's exactly what Cal did when we went down the floor and had a chance to tie it as getting late in the clock. And of course, you got to have a better shot than what we got. I mean, that was a behind the basket shot.
But that's freshman in a big game. I'll tell you another name that really stood out to me tonight, especially on the defensive end, was Alexander. In the first half, he was the main defender on Devontae Graham, held him to 3 for 10 shooting and 1 assist to 4 turnovers. And I think that was huge, helping us crawl back into the game early and giving us a shot in the second half.
Gilgeous-Alexander, the fact that he can guard smaller players like we've seen him do is going to be, I think it's going to be a really big thing for us going forward. But on the offensive end, tonight he made some very poor decisions.
He can't play point.
And yeah, I mean, he can guard the point, but I don't think he can offensively run that team.
I think what you're going to see at some point this season is him and Quade Green running the floor together, with Quade Green running the point, and then Alexander just taking whoever the best offensive player on the other team is. And we might see a guy like Kevin Knox get pushed to the 4.
And Hammy at the 3.
And Hammy at the 3, and then Nick Richards. I think that's definitely something we'll look at in the future games, because we couldn't have Quade Green on the defensive end, and we really couldn't have Alexander running the point.
Those 3 threes that Kevin Knox hit, that really changed how they was guarding him, because in the beginning they was going underneath those screens, and then that forced them to have to battle through the screen. And obviously that brought help up, and that's where we kind of went on a run and come back from that 6 or 7 point deficit we had there in the first half.
Yeah.
So I mean, just making shots, having somebody that that just goes to show you, making threes really opens the floor up for you.
Yeah, and I actually thought, and hear me out on this, early in the game it was like 18-7. We really weren't playing good defense. I entertained the thought of letting Brad actually run the point just to give us that 3-point shooting, because we weren't going to play good defense anyways. We might as well score some points. You think he sees the floor at some point this season just to give us that little extra spacing?
All right, I'm gonna give you a good response to that question. Absolutely not. No way do you put Brad Calipari out there.
Just had to throw it out there.
How tall is Brad?
He's 6 foot tall.
He's 6 foot tall. Okay, I wonder how tall Devontae Graham is. He ran the points now, right? 6'3",
I think he's
6'4".
like 6'2". I don't think he's that big. I think that's why they struggled with their length so much, because their guards are not really all that big.
Malik Newman is only, 6'2", 6'3", I think?
Yeah, he's not a very big two guard.
Yeah,
he was not good tonight. He really gave us a shot to win.
That's why I think Gilgeous-Alexander was so big tonight. Like, he just really stayed with him. I thought he done well tonight on man to man.
Yeah, I feel like tonight was basically a tournament game, because you had the neutral floor. It felt like it was probably 50-50 Kentucky and Kansas fans coming off a couple days rest between Vermont and another couple days rest after Utah Valley. And I think we learned a whole lot that we can definitely use come March. And I feel a whole lot better about this team tonight than I did last night.
Oh, absolutely. It being a loss, it's really hard for me to. It's just hard to accept. It's hard for me to get on here and talk about it. But I mean, honestly, coming into this game, I mean, you both thought we would lose probably by a good amount, and I gotta say, I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
About the year. We're gonna drop some games. I think
we're going to drop a lot of games
on the road. We're going to really with the freshmen, it's really going to be tough, especially those first couple road games. But I mean, that really don't matter. It's how you perform on a neutral site, just like tonight. And that's why I really like these championship classic games.
Yeah, I would really like to be part of the PK80 tournament next week. For whatever reason, Calipari turned down our invitation.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. So the topic that was kind of hovering over the game tonight, seen a lot on Twitter. It was kind of just really the news was given by the announcers or whatever, not really going into speculation or anything. What do you think about the Billy Preston issue?
I don't know, man. That kid sounds like he's going to be trouble. Because he missed the first game for missing class. I think he might have missed curfew or something like that the night before.
Yeah.
And he got this where he's in a car crash where it sounded like the way they worded it that Kansas might be worried how he got the money for the car.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. If I was a Kansas fan, I'd definitely be.
And they are an Adidas school.
They are an Adidas school. Yeah.
So I mean, you got to be thinking about that. We've already talked about in our very first podcast.
I will say this: I would hate to think that at a program like Kansas with a Hall of Fame coach like Bill Self, that you would need to pay players to go to school there. But I would have said the same thing about Rick Pitino at Louisville. So
that's a valid point. All right, how about Duke versus Michigan State? Of course, we didn't watch this one quite as closely, but Miles Bridges had 4 blocks tonight.
Yeah, Miles Bridges looked good. Is it Jaren? What's the other freshman's name?
Jaren Jackson.
Jaren Jackson looked really good tonight.
Provided a little perimeter offense tonight.
But I got to tell you, Duke without Bagley for most of the night, we're still able to win that game fairly easily. And I feel like, and I hate to say this, but it feels like Grayson Allen, a.k.a. Ted Cruz Jr., is going to win Player of the Year because he was absolutely magnificent tonight.
Grayson Allen played almost a flawless game tonight.
Yeah, And it's gross to talk good about Grayson Allen, but he was really good.
Yeah, and you know what they was talking about? Like it showed a little segment of him talking, and you remember how last year, like supposedly he had turned a new page and like
Right.
he had saw the light. Well, I kind of get the feel again this year that they're going along with that. Like like he's a senior this year, he's going to be different.
We've not seen him in a losing game yet either, though. So
Exactly. Yeah, those losing games tends to draw the.
I'll
Draw
give
the
him the benefit of the doubt until he throws a little fit on the bench again. I cannot stand it. I didn't like it when Cam Newton did it at the Super Bowl, and I sure don't like it when he done it last year on the bench. You're a grown man playing at one of the top schools in basketball. Grow up.
Yeah, he's a bit of a baby, honestly. I mean, if he was going to be responsible, he should have at least been a little bit responsible in his junior year.
Yeah.
Not act the way he did. So
And I
I
hope
don't know if I really.
I really do hope he has turned the page because he's too good of a ball player to do the stuff he does.
What do you think his game translates into in the NBA?
Man, I don't know. He's only like 6'5", right?
Yeah,
He
I
played
think-
the point a little bit last year, so I don't know. He could maybe be like a Jeremy Lin type player at the next level.
I don't know. I think that his role would probably be more of a shooter. Honestly, I mean, he's got a pretty nice looking stroke.
I think Jeremy Lin's the ceiling, but maybe JJ Redick's probably a better comparison.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, I guess we pretty much covered it.
All right, so we got a bunch of topics already down for Friday, maybe Saturday on our main show or main podcast. So be sure to tune in for that, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at X the Bandwagon X. That's our Twitter handle, and we also have a YouTube account which we link through Twitter. So might want to follow us on that, and we're going to be trying to get on iTunes and different platforms. So we'll try to keep you up to date on that on Twitter. So
Yeah,
until
we'll probably be changing the name pretty quick too. So just stick to the Twitter page. Anything we do will be announced through Twitter.
Yes, because unfortunately the Bandwagon is a good name, but
Lots of people are on the bandwagon.
Yeah, everyone else thought so too. So, okay, until next time, see ya.